Instructions for repairing a clogged print head of an Ultimaker 3D printer. So what happens is the material that goes through this hole gets clogged inside the channel, the tubing in there, and material stops coming out of the tip here. Okay, so the tools that are needed are as follows: 7mm open end wrench, some sort of a plier with a narrow piece here that can slide between the plastic mold and grab on one of the nuts. A channel lock plier, a 2mm hex wrench, a 1/8 inch drill bit, and a very small, I will measure the size and state it later, but spring steel wire to clear the tip of the print head. So we start by disassembling the print head from the top using the 2mm hex wrench. Then we grab on the hex nut in here, okay, using this like that, okay. And then we will unscrew this using the 7mm wrench, okay. Then we're going to use the channel lock. So we'll use a channel lock plier to hold the heating unit, and then grab inside there and unscrew that hex nut. So we will go in there. All right, once it is loose, you can try to turn this by hand. And it isn't always this easy, so especially if depending on how much material is stuck in there, and how long the unit has been used and how old it is. It may be tighter. Okay, so this is removed now, and this one happens to I have actually I have already removed this, but by this time usually you will see this hole here clogged with material, and that's where the 1/8 millimeter 1/8 inch drill bit comes in. Okay, so I'll place this one here, and at this point you will be using the 1/8 millimeter drill. If this is clogged, okay, you would just drill this out until all the material is removed. Looks like there is something still left in there because this isn't smooth. When you know, all material is removed, this is gonna go in and out smooth. But as long as it is, you know, the drill goes in and out, there is no need to clean it out, you know, completely, because as the unit heats up, the material it is gonna go through here. The hole is slightly larger than the actual diameter of the material. So as long as, you know, most of the, you know, the material is in. Bottom line, if this 1/8 drill bit goes through, the material will be able to go through. Okay, so this part is done. It's clean. The next thing is to unclog the material that is inside the nozzle. Okay, so to do that, we basically need to hit the nozzle so that the material that is clogging it is gonna be pushed out. So in order to heat it, it's better to remove the heating element and the temperature sensor probe from it, so that we can use any kind of I'm gonna use a torch to heat it up. In order to remove this, we will use the 2 millimeter hex again and just loosen this nut just a little bit. Okay, it doesn't have to be removed, you know, all the way out. As long as it is loose, the temperature, this is the temperature probe, and this one that has some kind of a brass clip with additional material, tubing material on, you know, to the lids. That is the heater. So I just loosen that and it is out. Okay, now that it is out, we don't really need to remove the nozzle from the heating unit. We can just heat it up, you know, as it is there, and then we will push the material that is clogging the nozzle using our homemade tool made of spring steel. Okay, it is just the size, the diameter of the spring steel is the size of the nozzle diameter. Okay, so I'm gonna place this here, I'm gonna place this here, and now we're gonna start heating this. So I'll use this little torch for heating the heating unit here. I basically am holding it with a tweezer from this side. You can see the heating unit is clogged. Okay, here you go. All right, you see it's full of material. You know, part of that could probably be drilled out from this side, but we'll see if we can just push it out from the other side. Okay, so I'm gonna be holding it using this tweezer here like this, and then I'm gonna be heating it from this side, and once it is hot enough, I'll use that tool, the spring wire, to push the material out. Okay, so this has been cleared essentially by heating it, applying heat. You can use a hot air gun or a torch, whatever you need, but essentially by heating, the heating unit, and pushing using this spring steel. The gauge, as I mentioned earlier, the gauge is 0.3 millimeter or 13 mils. Okay, so we used that to push the material that was clogging the hole. So it is, as you can see now, the path is open. Okay, so we're gonna start reassembling the unit, and we're gonna go from there. So we will start by putting this back. Putting the heater and temperature sensor back. All right, insert it all the way in, and once it is all the way in, we will tighten this. Okay. All right. So that's in. Next is the this guy here. It is for temperature control. The fan is used to control the overall temperature of the module. Okay, so that goes next. I will put this in. All right, so now that this is tight, okay, next is this guide and the actually lifter. It's the lifter. Okay, and then the last piece here. Now the important thing here is when we tighten this down, we need to make sure once this is tight, the position of this lifter is going to be set, and we need to make sure that is aligned with this brass unit here. Okay, so sometimes when this is tightened, it could be at an angle. That shouldn't be the case. Okay, it needs to be aligned properly. For example, it could look something like this. So let me see. So right now it is off in this direction. Okay, so we need to make sure that it is aligned properly with the heating element before we tighten this. Okay, so this unit is tight now, and you can see it is aligned properly with the heating element. Next we are going to install the final piece, which is this guy here. So we just need to make sure the board here is in its proper position. There is a groove where it goes into. All right, so it's in place. Okay, and then I'm gonna bring this over. The spring goes here, and then the final piece goes in there, and it gets in there. It goes inside nicely snug. So we need to make sure that it's inside properly before we start tightening this nut, this bolt. Okay, and then just before we tighten, we need to make sure that the board has a slat that it needs to go into, and it's also flush here. Okay, needs to be flush right there. Okay, we need to verify that. Now that after doing that, we can push against the spring and tighten all the way in. Okay, all right, so now that it is in, and we will make sure that the spring action, the lifter is working properly, and we are done. So this is clear from here. Just one more time from this side is gonna go in there, so this is clear, so should be good now. Thank you for watching.